Kia ora koutou, welcome to another guitar lesson, another Waiata, another song. This one is Pepeha by Six60. KFC, it's not in usual common time as well. This is in a 6/8, so there's some stuff that we can cover in this. It's got a substitute chord as well as an inversion that walks down, a B section that has a riff that we can learn too. So we've got some arpeggiation, some strumming, some different time signature. This one's going to be interesting. Disclaimer as per usual, if you haven't already, you can subscribe. We've got some content up there, we've got some more content coming. They're starting to get better too in terms of the video and how we're developing them, because we're learning from this. All about that journey. No mai, haere mai, we're all welcome on it though, and we're going to be giving some insight into Waiata Māori. That's what we do here at Pūtātara. Timestamps are up there, so if you want to go straight to the song and just learn it, or if you want to go and have a jam along with the jam track with the chords, it's all going to be in the description with our timestamps, or you can just bring up the seeker bar and head to those now. Lyrics are always pinned in the comment section, so go check it all out. Other than that, KFC, let's go. Alright, so for this is not in common time, so it's not a 4/4. This is what we call 6/8. You might more frequently know it as 3/4, which is a waltz timing, a type of dance if you've never done a waltz, but that's just a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But 6/8, so we're going to count to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to be teaching the rhythm to this first, just because you can play along with the chords as we go along. So with this, it's an bap bap rhythm, and we're in the key of C. So we're going to play our C chord. So with our C, remember the third finger on the 3rd fret of the A string or the 5th string. Second finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the D string or the 4th string. And our first finger is on the 1st fret of the B string or the 2nd string. We'll leave the G open. Now we're not going to be playing an inversion on this one. Playing that one there, because that's a C over G. But we don't want this G in the bass. We only want that C chord, alright? So just a regular standard open C chord. Now for the bap bap, for that 6/8 rhythm, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go bass with our thumb and then 2 strums. So we've got this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now remember, with your right hand, it is to be relaxed, and it's a flick of the wrist. So it's not a forearm movement like this. It should be a flick of the wrist is the key to it. So you don't really see my forearm moving around. Alright, you don't see this part of my arm moving, you just see all the movement from here. Right? You only just see the muscles moving in my arm. Not that I go to the gym that often. Alright, so with that bap bap rhythm, so as what I said, you want to go bass first and then 2 down strums. So we want to make sure that we hit the C note here with the 3rd finger. So holding our C chord, we're going to go bass with our thumb, so that 5th string. We don't play the low E. Then we're going to go 2 down strums. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3. And this is where it all starts from. So that's that bap bap rhythm. So every time I say bass of the string, you want to go to the root note of it, or the lowest sounding note. Because our next chord is what we call a C over B. So that one there. Now, as you can see, my first finger has not moved from the C. So we're going, and if you have a look at my right hand, you can see, I'll just bring it up here just so you can see it. So you can see how I'm getting the thumb, strum, strum, thumb, strum, strum. Cool. And we're just moving our 2nd finger to get that C over B from the 2nd fret of the D string or the 4th string up to the 5th fret, 5th string on the 2nd fret. So you're getting that there. Alright, so if you have a look from here, you can see that I'm only just touching this D string here. So the D string there, I'm only just touching it. I haven't put my finger, I'm not fretting it, and that just helps mute the note. Okay, so that one there, and And then, so that's how we get that B over C. Sorry, C over B, other way around. And that's because we got the triad of C up here, the G, the C, and the E. So it's kind of like an inversion, a second inversion of it. And then we put the B note on the bottom there. And that helps us walk down to our 6th chord, our A minor. If you have a look, my first finger did not move again. So that's still on the 2nd fret of the B string. Our 2nd finger is on the 2nd fret of the D string, and our 3rd finger is on the 2nd fret of the G, or the 3rd string. And with this, you're still only going to be going from the 5 strings there, so we don't play this low E. Cool, and you're going to play that one for 6 counts. So you're going to play the A minor for 6 counts. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so the C is only for 3. The C over B is only for the 4, 5, 6. So another 3 counts. And then the A minor is for the whole 6 counts. Then we're going to go to an F. And we're going to play this in a bar chord. So we're going to bar the 1st fret. 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, or the 3rd string. 3rd finger is going to be playing the 3rd fret of the A, or the 5th string. And then straight underneath that on the 4th string, or the D string, you're going to have your 4th finger on the 3rd fret. Okay, now you're going to do the bop on that as well, but you're going to be now playing the bass note as the low E, because you want this F note up on the low E on the 6th string. Cool. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so what we did there was we went from the F for 3 counts. C is going to be for 4, 5, 6, so the next 3 counts, and then G is now going for all 6 counts. So if we have a look at it from the F, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. So we're going from the C to the G. Now with the G, this is probably the voicing that I can hear them playing, just because this D note that's coming through on that triad is the one that I can hear as opposed to just the B. So that's a B. That's got the D in there. Cool. So for this one, we're going to go 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the low E. 1st finger is on the 2nd fret of the A string. The next 2 strings, the D and the G, are going to be open because those are all a part of the triad of G. And then we're going to have the D note come through on the 3rd fret of the B string with your 3rd finger, and then 3rd fret of the high E with your pinky. So pinky is there, and your 3rd finger is there on the B string of the 3rd fret. 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the low E, and 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A, and that's your G. And remember, bop, so we're going to play the G note, which is this low E. So this note here, and then the 2 strums, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on the 1 and the 4, you should be having a bass note. Cool. And then it goes to the C. Right? Oh, it was actually supposed to go to A minor, then to C. So this is where it starts to just go for 3 counts for each chord, and there is a substitution chord. So what does a substitute mean? It just means that we're introducing a chord into the key that's from outside, and we're subbing it out. We're subbing out the diatonic chord, which would be an E minor in this case, because we're in the key of C, which is the 3rd chord of the C major key. But we're going to replace that with with an E7. Now E7, this is why I thought D, has a D note in it, hence why it's a dominant 7th. And the note that it actually introduces to the key is a G sharp, because that is a part of E major. Right, and the G sharp is right here on the 1st fret of the G string. Look at that. Okay, and then 2nd finger on the A string on the 2nd fret. We're going to leave the D string open because that's what I said, it's a dominant 7th chord and it's an extension, so you want to make sure that you get the D notes in there, and then this is just an extra added octave D over the top, so that's the 3rd fret of the B string. Right? Now that just gives a bit of a shock to the ear, or adding a little bit of that flavor spice to it with the substitution. Then it goes to an A minor. It goes back to an A minor. Then it goes to F, and then to C, and then to G, and then to C. Alright? And those are all 3 counts each, but it's in 6/8, right? So we're going Kom whānau tō tu waka, ko au e tu atu nei. Cool. And that's pretty much the verse. Now we're going into the B section, and the B section just starts on an A minor. And you're going to hold this for 12 counts, so for two bars. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, na, 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 then to C. So then we go from an A minor to the C, and you're going to hold that C for 12 counts or 2 bars. Then back down to the A minor. Though you are far away, if I'll hold you near. So it goes to F and then to G. You're going to hold all of those 2 for 6 counts each. So the F for 6 counts, the G for 6 count, and what does that equal? 12, which is what the others were being held for in total. So it's like evening everything out mathematically, right? I'll hold you near. So we're going to G. Then it goes to an A minor. Now with this, you've got options here. You can just strum and just hold it. I'll keep the home fires burning. C. So you can see clear. Okay, so you can just let that A minor ring out, and then it's just 6 counts. 6 counts or 12 counts. I'll keep the home fires burning. 12 counts. And you can see clear. Now your other option, if you want to play something a little bit, or you want to play like what the song does, is just to do the pentatonic run that it does. So the pentatonic riff. And that just goes, so when you play that, I'll keep the home fires burning. Alright? Now all that is you're going to go from the 5th fret on the D string, so 5th fret on the 4th string, and you're going to slide up to the 7th fret on the D string. Now with this, you can see the way that my fingers are, I've done this on purpose to it's just more ergonomic to play this way. It's just more efficient. It's just easier to play this way if you practice yourself into playing it like this. You don't have to as long as you hit the notes though, but for me it works. So from the 5th fret up to the 7th, and then you're going to play the 5th fret on the D, 7th fret on the A, and you're going to slide back into the C note, and hence why I said play it like that, because then you can play the C chord. Alright, so if you were to go through that part, it'll be like so you can see clear. No, you are Alright, then it just goes back to the verse. Now the final part of this, the final 2 parts, is the instrumental break, which is just the verse chords, except for on the end you play an E and an F. So you play the E7 and that F. So Alright, so we're still in the instrumental. Mana is my mountain. This is the last verse. And Aroha is my sea. So as you can see, coming out of that instrumental, it just plays that E7, then to the F, and then back to Mana is my mountain, back into the English verse, the translation of that. Now the final part is there's an arpeggiation right at the end. Now what's an arpeggiation? That is just picking the chord as opposed to strumming it. Now the great thing about chords is your fingers are already in the correct position. You've just got to play those notes, and that's it. So with this, we don't play that low E, remember? So, ko mana toku mona, and all of that is me. Alright, so if you just notice, I was just picking the notes out, and I'm not playing the notes that the strings that it tells me not to play in the chord chart. So, ko mana, then it goes to the E7, so it goes from the C to the E7, ko mana toku mona, then to the C, the G, and the C, and all of that is me. Alright, so C, G, C on the end, it resolves back home. Ka pai, so that's how you play 660's Pepeha. Have a go with the jam track. If you want to see how it all goes with the chords, we're going to have that at the end there. Now we're going to get into a little bit of an education part of what is a Pepeha. So what is a Pepeha? A Pepeha is just a way for us to introduce ourselves to people and to generate conversation. It acknowledges landmarks of where we're from, as well as water source, the waka, our ancestors. The waka is a canoe. Our ancestors, the ones who came on the waka, and your whānau, as well as your marae itself. Now, just a disclaimer with this. I'm from Te Aotearoa, so this is my perspective on it from more of a Te Aotearoa point of view. But if you come from a different area, you might have a slight change in terms of the way that you perceive Pepeha and what it means and the way that you go about it. That's ka pai. My Ngāti Maniapoto side, my Tainui side, from my mother, they have some slight variations to it as well. But kei te pai, if anything in Māori, it's do what feels right to you and just be respectful about it, you know. So what it does is it does go in a certain order, and that's probably the most common thing that we see right across the motu, right across the country. So it starts off with our land, and that's because the land is the elder of everything. So it's there before you, and it's going to be there after you. So you acknowledge it first. And we start on the mountaintop because it's the closest to Ranginui, to the heavens. And then we come down to the water source because without water, we cannot survive. So then by pointing out those two landmarks, one, you mihi to that, meaning you're mihi to your elders, as well as you're setting the scene of where you're from. So if people have been on their travel, they might already know those landmarks. Being from Rotorua, so I can go to Rotorua Nui Akahu Matamamoi Tōku Moana, meaning that's my large body of water. Moana is like your ocean, or I could say roto as well, which is lake. But for myself, because I come from Whakarewarewa, I call the Pūringa is my awa. Tarawera is the mauna that encapsulates all of Tūharangi, the tribe that my dad is from. But we can also say Tūturu or Pūtātara, which is a little smaller mountain hill just behind our village, right? So we'll start off with there, and then we'll go down to the Pūringa, and then eventually start talking about everything else. So then you start talking about your waka, which is the canoe that brought your ancestors, or my ancestors, to Aotearoa, as well as the marae itself, and then the iwi and the hapu too, right? Should be iwi, hapu, marae. The iwi is just the general tribe. So when I say Te Aroa, that's really, Te Aroa is really the waka. So there's like two bits here, two bits of conversation that we can get in here, but we'll say that for another day. But Te Aroa is really the waka, and then the iwi for me should be tūhaurangi. So tūhaurangi comes from Te Aroa, but because we all came off the Te Aroa waka, we kind of just use Te Aroa as the name of the iwi as well. But tūhaurangi is really, from what I've heard of kōrero from the whānau, is the iwi, and then Ngāti Wāhio is the hapu. But you'll more commonly hear it, or you will probably hear it as tūhaurangi, Ngāti Wāhio as the hapu. So we have that, and the hapu is just a sub-tribe of the tribe, and then from there you can talk about the marae itself. So for me it's Te Pākehā Toku Marae, which is just the whole marae complex, and we're not talking just about the wharenui, we're talking about the whole marae complex. The wharenui itself is wāhio, and then the wharakai is te reo aroha. So those are just some of the things that I would say if I was to talk about my Te Aroa side. Now it would change a little bit once that I go to the Ngāti Maniapoto side, because they have Mauna Tapu, Mauna Aroha, which is a whole nother conversation about two different mountains. But as what I said, the main thing of it is just a way to introduce yourself and generate conversation. There is one cool story from this, which is I went to a tangi and I just said a couple of words. I don't speak reo fluently, but all I just did was just mihi to the pai and to the whenua, as well as to the tupuna, as well as to the body that was there too. Now after I said my little spiel, talking about being from Rotorua, because this was in Thames, I acknowledged Moiho as the resting place of our ancestor and captain of the Te Aroa canoe, Tamata Kapua. Now afterwards, one of the karoas sat me down and he said, look up there, that's the wife of one of your koros. That's one of your kuia, and she's from here. Meaning that's one of our nans, one of our ancestors. And it was really cool, because on the carving of the po, it was a carving of Mokoia Island, which is in the middle of Lake Rotorua, or Te Rotorua e Kahu Matamamoi. And we just had a conversation, and it was beautiful, you know. It was really cool to just connect with this karoa, and he talked a little bit about Tamata Kapua, Moiho, the mountain in which Tamata Kapua is buried on in Thames, or supposedly buried on, because that's what he requested. And Moiho is just a shortened name of Tamata Kapua's resting place. So yeah, it's just about generating conversation, and that's the whole purpose of a Pepeha. Alright, so that's us. Have a go with the jam track. Hope you learnt a little bit about Pepeha and why is it important and why we actually use it. Other than that, hope you enjoy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Keep up to date with the rest of that content. We'll catch you in the next video. Kia pai tō rā. Have a great day. You. Ko mana tōku mauna, ko aroha te moana, ko whānau tōku waka, ko au e tu atu nei. Mana is my mountain, and Aroha is my sea. Whānau is my waka, and all of that is me. Aha kwa pa
Kia mau mahara mai rā, no konei koe, ko mana tōku mauna, ko aroha te moana, ko whānau tōku waka, ko au e tu atu nei. Mana is my mountain, and Aroha is my sea.